with that thing, and we're not even really going to have a good idea for what it's going to cost to maintain it. So I'll put that out there right now. Gordon, our Public Works Director, has something to add.
Mayor, as Heather stated, when we got into the drainage calculations and everything in there, that's when it became evident that they were going to need a stormwater detention pond. We all wanted that other house built.
Sure.
You know, part of what we are accepting is all that underground storm pipe and everything that does connect. It's just that's already automatic, and the stormwater detention pond is usually part of it. And as explained, normally are conducted through HOAs because most everywhere else you see, they want to keep the whole area, all the common areas, but there's not any other common area other than the stormwater detention pond.
So what ultimately is staff's recommendation on this?
Ultimately, staff, it's going to be part of the overall stormwater group. We are going to make sure the 3 sides of the floor, staff recommended the floor, and we are open to that last 4th side. Staff's recommendation is that we incorporate it into it to keep this project moving on into the overall stormwater plan.
So you're comfortable with this?
I'm comfortable
with us being responsible for it?
Yes, sir.
On that one side that's in question about whether concrete is not, what's Mickey think we need to do?
Early on this week, he told me he preferred it concrete, and it's a visual. You know, Mickey can visualize the slopes more, and what this does, this is an actual overflow. If the 100-year flood comes, then the stormwater detention pond itself will overflow, and this is designed to overflow back in the street and go down to the street. And so it would be a natural, what we're looking at is a natural tiered slope. It tiers 2 times, and then a flow over to the sidewalk.
So the way it was going to be built, there's not going to be any water left standing.
Yeah.
I'm concerned, one, about the sediment that washes in there. Then if there's any standing water with mosquito problems that might cause. And then somebody's going to have to go in there and clean that thing up periodically. If they get sediment, after a while, you know you're going to have some, if it doesn't wash on through. So if it's concrete, would that help it flow better and move on and not have so much sediment? It's going to necessitate being cleaned out earlier than usual.
Yes, due to the fact that the original design called for a grass floor to allow water to precipitate down into the ground, and when it started becoming questionable whether the city would take ownership on that, I immediately established we wanted that floor concreted because of you ever have to go in there, you got an established grade. You don't have to come out and have a surveyor back out, say how deep is it supposed to be, and you can get in there and you can clean it out.
The size it's going to be, could you get a skid loader or something in there to go in there and clean that out? Or you're going to have a man physically get in there to clean it out.
I would have to look. I know on 3 sides you couldn't, but on the spillway side, I believe it's designed that way, or we can discuss that with Mickey to get it designed that particular way, to get a piece of equipment in there.
To me, there was at least manual labor that would take to maintain that thing. Also, I'm assuming the grass around it's going to have to be kept mowed and stuff.
Yes.
That's why we're talking about that other side, concrete and all.
And, we just now probably all visualized a concrete, pond or pool looking, but they're not going to leave it that way. It's our understanding it's got to have security fence and real nice security fence and everything, not just chain link. They're going to do it upright. Is that correct?
Yes, so I actually have picked out a really pretty, it's a black stainless steel, or black.
We're looking at black wrought iron.
Black wrought iron, thank you. So it'll be a really nice fence that goes around. This is in the front of our subdivision. This is not ideal at all and everyone I think is fully aware of how much, for me, aesthetically is really important. So if anyone is upset about this detention pond being at the front of my subdivision, it's me, but unfortunately civil trumps anything that I have to feel or say. So my goal is to just make it look as nice as I possibly can.
And I think at the end of the day, we feel like we can freely meet with city officials, and city officials, I think, feel that they can freely meet with us. And this is definitely, it's not a static project by any means. It's very much dynamic. The Director Smith stopped by this morning on his way to work, and he just happened to be there and answered a really critical question that we had this morning regarding some elevation that's out there. And, with that said, I'm sure that the city officials are going to keep city council aware during y'all's internal meetings about things that may have to go one way versus the other, but I want everyone to know that that coordination is happening and will continue to happen between us, our contractors, and city officials. I mean, that's just the truth. I wish that everybody here could say, hey, you know what, the way it's done is the way it's going to be done, but no, we understand that there is real concern about the issues that you guys are bringing up regarding this detention pond. And I think the civil engineer has been very, very kind with his time as well. So, again, the point is, it's very, very dynamic, and you know what? Even I think some of the things that we're talking about right now, we may reconsider doing a concrete bottom, because you're right, it's going to show the sediment. You're right, the sediment will be there, which you don't have that problem if it's a grass bottom, but those are decisions that the city's going to, I'm sure, make and talk about, and we're going to be there to support it. If they want a concrete bottom, we'll city a concrete bottom.
So what I hear you saying, even though you say we'll decide later, if the city requires the fourth side to be cemented, then it's going to be cemented.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Right. Yes, exactly.
So is there not something decorative that can be done with the issue with the cement is that it...
But you can't have, so that's the thing, you can't have one and the other. You can put a nice, very expensive wrought iron fence, you can put some bushes, if it's allowed, you gotta be careful because it's a spillway station, right? So you don't really wanna have anything blocking it because you need to be able, it needs to work for its intended purposes, God forbid, that a certain type of flood, like a 100-year flood, happens. So that's the thing, that's the challenge. We want it to look nice, we want it to fit with the rest of the look of the neighborhood, but at the same time, there is true engineering principles that have to be followed, and that's I think what we're all battling with.
Sure. Yeah, but back on the HOA though, I understand why you guys don't want to have one because it'll cost you more money to set it up. It might be a deterrent for people buying lots, may or may not. From the city's perspective, it doesn't hurt the city if there's an HOA there or not. It would remove this from being a potential issue for us. But all along, we've worked with you guys, and I think you understand that. This was first denied, and we brought it back, and we've worked with you, and we want it to happen. So I hear your argument about that's the one thing, and there's a lot of legalities and other things to set up to do this one thing. So I'm going to rely on our staff that they've done their research, and you don't think we're going way off. But certainly, if you think it needs to be concreted,
Yes, sir.
For our future obligations and whatnot, then that's what you're going to have to stand firm on.
Yes, sir.
Stops us from having to mow it. That was always my concern. I would rather have it grass, but I don't want our staff down there mowing it every other week. Right now, it's raining like heck, we wouldn't have to. Someday it'll rain.
I would like to think that in there where you can get equipment in there, not just have a single gate in there, but if you had to get the equipment in there,
Yes, sir.
I think you build it in a way where you can get whatever equipment you need to get in there outside that area.
I'll review that with the city engineer, Mickey, Thomas, make sure that's in there. Traffic circle.
I'm sorry.
A traffic circle. Daring joke for the first time.
We'll have rubber duck races.
Didn't I speak through that came from, that he did something on the storm and water, didn't he ultimately recommend that we take it? Do you remember that?
I'm not sure, might have been when I was
Okay, you can move on. But I remember